CPC versus GX4000.
15 of the 26 titles released for the Amstrad GX4000 were ports of existing tape and disc CPC games. It is commonly said that these ports are identical to the CPC versions and therefore not worth the higher price tag, and majorly contributed to the ultimate failure of the infamous British system. This series makes direct side-by-side comparisons as I discuss the differences of both versions and choose which one is better. In the final part of this series we look at the excellent Switchblade alongside comic capers with Tintin on the Moon and Dick Tracy. So now we go on to Switchblade, one of the best games on the GX. Oh hell yes it is. Massive exploration platformer, that's right. Anyway, box art, as you can see, the image of Hero and one of the evil Dragon Knight things, and anyway, interesting little console-only opening screen there, and the animation for the Switchblade logo coming in with some excellent music. That Gremlin logo there at the bottom is a hardware sprite. You'll probably notice as well that and this is definitely, I think, due to the processor speed of the GX being slightly slower. As you can see, it's slightly behind. If you cycle through this intro sequence, it's slightly behind. These two are synced up together. And well, they are at the start, but you run them together and one of them slightly creeps ahead of the other, the CPC version. But anyway, mode 1 used for this nice little intro story, exactly the same so far. No need to change it, to be honest, because it's absolutely superb on the CPC. But so we've got a little console-only pre-title screen there, just to tell you this is on the GX. This is the GX version of Switchblade, and off we go. And as you can see, we have got a lovely raster effect they used for the sky. So a really nice shading there. And also, which is quite unique about this game, you can see it's all done in mode 1 to give it a nice detail. And it's certainly got a distinct style about Switchblade. The GX4000 has employed hardware sprites, but in a very bizarre way. It uses them for, well, environment detail. So there, when it's a little green bush on the floor there, and it's not on the CPC, but it's there where I'm standing right now. That's a hardware sprite, just overlaid on the top as a little bit of extra background or foreground, and that's constant throughout the game. So that creates an image of having more colours on the game than it is allowed, as it were, due to this mode. So you've got the plus palette being used along with hardware sprites in the backgrounds to create that image. It's quite a nice little idea. I think it could have been implemented a little bit more. It's a little bit infrequent. The colour scheme is generally the same though. We've got the same shading going on. The movement is the same. Our main man Hero is a soft sprite still. But you know what? This is a game which is accused of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The CPC version is so good in the first place. There's very little to actually improve. There's some little colours there on the bottom, as you can see. Colour scheme is different for the HUD on the bottom as well. I'm not sure whether a split raster could have been used for that. They might be. I think the split raster is actually being used anyway on the mode 1 because you're getting more colours. Even if you take away the hardware sprites, the additional colours there, you've got more colours than what mode 1 would permit. And that goes for the CPC version as well. There's slightly different colour changes for the score at the top there. I've noticed the GX4000 version seems to have the same colour used as the game screen. More colours used on the CPC there at the top. Or overall, in fact, I think maybe they're offsetting that with the colours for the hardware sprites. There's a possibility that that's the case. So the music is the same as well on this, and it's just generally an all-round great game. Little bits of improvement here and there on the GX4000 version that just basically makes a great game slightly even better. So the GX4000 version wins with this little extra bit of detail here and there. Yes, Switchblade, one of the very, very best. Okay, if you've been watching this series and enjoying it, I hope you have. Here we come to the second Infogrames game, Tintin on the Moon, or Tintin sur la Luna. I don't know, I can't speak French. Or Belgium, is it? I don't know. Anyway, based off the popular comic strip. There you go. Intro screen there on the GX4000. And that's your lot, mate. That's it, Tin. Tintin, that's all you're going to get from this. Everything is the same. Even this very nice intro sequence, which is nice, it's got nice music as well. Music is identical as it is on the CPC. The GX4000 version, should I say, is exactly the same as the CPC. There's no change. And this intro sequence is exactly the same as well. Again, you'll probably notice it's slightly delayed. Well, it lags behind the CPC because probably of the slightly slower processor on the GX. No, not a big thing really at all. To be honest, it's almost insignificant. But it's a nice intro screen. It's a nice start. This is a strange game because it's a game that has a lot of potential to be a good game. Unfortunately, it feels like it's half a game. A game designed maybe for children. Quite simple. I think it looks okay, to be honest. You got this bit here. Fly the rocket through the field of rocks, asteroid rocks. As you can see, no differences. There are no hardware sprites. There's no hardware scrolling. There's no plus palette used. The only difference is that title screen, that little nicely drawn, taken from the comic books kind of thing. But along with Barbarian 2 and the other Infogrames title Mystical, it's one of those games which is identical to the Pixel. There is no differences in gameplay, no differences in visuals or audio. Yeah. I mean, even Batman has differences, and we've already spoken about that, and Clax as well. They have differences, but this is again of the games that can be accused of being CPC ports or dumps, should we say, just basic straight to cart. This is one of them, along with the other two that I mentioned, Barbarian 2 and Mystical. They literally are identical. The graphic style is reminiscent of Total Recall. I thought it was similar to Total Recall, the way Total Recall looks on the CPC. No, it's just, again, things could have been done so much better on the GX4000. Why haven't they used a bit of hardware sprites going on here? There's no plus palette changes at all. Not at all. And that's bizarre, if you ask me. Absolutely bizarre. I'm not going to talk about the idea of the game. I mean, that would be reviewing it. That's for another video. That's for a later date. But its simplicity, self-explanatory. You go through this cycle a couple of times, putting out fires, blah, 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 blah. And then the game ends. It's very short. It's a very short game. No improvements, apart from that title screen. That's it, really, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's it. Infogrames were guilty of doing it twice. Infogram, be ashamed of yourselves. So I'm shifting the blame to them, not Ocean. Ocean at least made an effort with some of their stuff. Tintin on the moon. Tintin goes to the moon, more like. Final game we're going to look at is Dick Tracy, everyone's favourite Dick. And yet again, cover art almost the same, but you would expect that, wouldn't you? And this is an interesting game, a bit like Super Pinball Magic, been rewritten from the ground up. Different title screen there. Actually, overscan full screen on the CPC, which is quite nice. So slightly different there on the GX4000. Hardware sprite used for the selector there, which is, I don't know why, the cursor, the little cursor thing, that's a hardware sprite. Okay, fair enough. Not sure why the I'm on my way bit seems to be missing from the GX4000 version. That would be nice to just plot that in there. Instead they whack the Titus logo on the front instead. But like I said, been rewritten completely, this game. So again, you can see the plus palette fading there. And we're going to the game. Colour changes, significant. A little bit of jiggly pokery gone on the HUD at the bottom there with some more colour changes. And some very, very beautiful hardware scrolling. That's nice to see. It's a bit like Wild Streets in being a little bit empty and a little bit basic, this game. But as for improvements, it's got a lot. Hardware sprites are used here for the enemies, the bad guys, and Mr. Dick, him in the yellow coat himself. All hardware sprites, nicely coloured. Animation, well, animation's not the brilliant, should we say. It's a little bit stunted. I think that's because they've used so many hardware sprites. The animation frames are a little bit jerky, but it's not too bad. It's certainly better than the CPC version, as you can see. CPC version, not a very attractive looking game at all. The colour choices are a bit off, if you ask me, for the CPC version. Much better selection and balance of colours on the GX4000 version. And gameplay is very similar. I said the only difference really, gameplay wise, is that very nice hardware scrolling, and it really is smooth. Probably some of the smoothest scrolling I've seen on an Amstrad platform. Really nice. I've just switched over there. I'm going to switch back now. There we go, to the CPC version, just to show you that the CPC version doesn't have any music playing in the background. As sound effects only. You can choose sound effects on the GX4000 version as well, but there's no music on the CPC version. And that walking, them sprites on the CPC version are really nasty. I don't like them at all. But it's pretty good. It's a pretty good update. Like I say, it's definitely not a complete port. This one, it's almost like it's been recoded from the ground up. It probably has been. Animation is actually better, like I've said, than the CPC version. That flick screen stuff going on the CPC, not present because you've got. I just really do like the scrolling. I'm not going to go on about it too much, am I? The scrolling on the GX4000 version is really well done, and a great example that what could have been done with other games if they'd implemented that hardware scrolling. Because look, it was possible to do it and do it well. So yeah, it's a very different game from the CPC version. Plays better. It's certainly better to look at, better to sound at. It doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean. But it's good that we finished this on a game which has been significantly improved and does use the GX4000's capabilities. It's not a dick. Get that yellow Mac. So I'm going to end on this, just to show you a couple of more games, which I don't consider ports. I don't consider them ports at all. Some people will consider them ports, I don't. This is Wet Clermont on the CPC, and of course Burning Rubber on the GX4000. Very closely related. Some would argue that Burning Rubber is just a updated version of Wet Clermont, and in essence it is. But it's significantly different in a lot of ways, apart from its graphics, and its movement, and its sound, gameplay. It's significantly different to merit its own game, and it's got a different title. Of course, it was built and designed to show you what the GX4000 can do, because it does implement all the effects that the GX4000 can do. Plus sprites, plus palette, DMA sound, everything. I don't think it actually uses hardware scrolling, but it uses hardware sprites. Yeah, and it's a good example of what the GX4000 power could do. So brilliant graphics compared to the Mode 1 graphics of Wet Clermont over there on the CPC. And now we look at Tennis Cup. Tennis Cup there on the CPC, and Tennis Cup 2 on the GX. Again, some people can consider this a port. I don't consider this a port. It's got a different title. It is a true sequel. It was released on other systems as a sequel, as Tennis Cup 2. It's similar. It's just a basically overhaul improvement, like many sequels are, just a complete overhaul improvement on what the original game was. Black and white monochrome stuff. I mean, I'm not sure about the Mode 1 colour scheme on the CPC there. Lovely graphics on the GX4000. It plays similar, it does, but it looks and sounds a lot better overall. So it's a sequel. It's not a port, it's a sequel. So there you have it. The 15 games ported from the CPC to the GX4000. Only 3 of them are actually better on the CPC. The rest of them are improved enough or have slight improvements to make them better on the GX4000. So there you go. It's all cleared up. I have shed the light. Those are the differences. Not all of them are complete ports, but some of them are guilty of it. But anyway, cheers for watching, everyone. Novabug, out.